If you're looking to beef up the front end of your 2024 or newer Tacoma without having to spend a ton of money to do it, then the High Runner front bumper guard will be just the ticket for your build. Featuring burly good looks and plenty of flexibility and strength for a great price, there's a lot to like here. Now this one is rather unique in the market because it's not your typical grille guard. That's because it mostly covers the lower part of your truck's front end, so instead of covering the entirety of the grille or the lights, this covers the lower grille and your bumper cover, and it really gives your Tacoma a distinct look. It extends out to cover everything out to the edges of the bumper, but it still leaves room for your fog lights. These wide uprates are also very beefy, so you can use these to push or bust through debris or just generally keep the front end of your truck protected from all kinds of obstacles. That makes this a great choice for the Tacoma owner who wants to have their truck protected without adding all the complication and weight that can come with a traditional grille guard or an aftermarket bumper. This one is designed to work with your factory bumper, and it keeps your truck operating just like it was intended to from the factory. You've got plenty of room here for the radar sensor and your parking sensors as well, and you're not going to have hundreds of additional pounds hanging out over the front end. There's also provisions up here in the center bar for some additional lighting, so if you want to run an LED light bar or you want to get a couple of big fog lights up there, you can add those too. Just gives you a little bit of extra flexibility. Now, as I always like to say, styling is subjective, but I think this one works pretty well with the Tacoma's styling. It works to accentuate the sort of beefy underbite these trucks have naturally from the factory, and I think it integrates well enough that it looks really at home on the front end. A combination of tubular and plate steel is used here and gives this plenty of strength. The steel is then finished in a two-stage coating. An electrophoretic black primer then combines with the textured black powder coat you see here. So the metal is going to be well protected from the elements, and it should be plenty resistant to whatever you can throw at it. Now this is also kind of a modular setup too, because each piece bolts on separately. So if you happen to damage one, you can take it off and fix it or replace it and keep going. Pricing here comes in at about $700, and that does put this toward the top end of the market for things of this nature. It is a solid piece though, and there really aren't many options out there for those of you who don't want an all-new bumper. So if you want protection and you don't want to compromise the functionality of your truck, this is a great choice. Installation gets a 1 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and it should take you maybe around 2 hours to complete the job. This is a bolt-on operation, and it doesn't require you to make any permanent modifications to the truck itself. A little bit of assembly is required though, but really it's not all that bad. And we're going to walk you through the entire process step by step right now, so for that, let's head on out to the shop.
For this install, you will need a 3/8 impact driver, also a 3/8 ratchet, a 16mm wrench, a 17 and a 16mm socket, along with a helping set of hands. Today we're going to be installing a bumper guard for a Tacoma. Let's get started. We're going to remove our factory mounted tow hooks with our 17mm socket, front and back. Once we have that off, we're going to set it to the side, and then we're going to repeat the same exact steps for the other side. All right, we're going to start off by assembling our grille off of the vehicle. We can take our flat washer and our lock washer, assemble it onto our hardware that was provided, and we're first going to assemble the sidebar onto the body of the guard. And get this top one started. And that's going to come down a little bit on us. That's okay. Get this bottom one in. We'll come back and tighten those down. All right, now that we have the top and bottom bolts in, we're going to come in with our 16mm socket to tighten them down. One thing I do want to point out is that this has a front and rear adjustment. We're going to set ours all the way to the forward-most position. All right, after we get that tightened down, we're going to repeat the same steps for the other side. All right, next we're going to move on to our lower assembly. The lower assembly mounts into these two holes right here. And for demonstration purposes, I'm going to lift it up on the side and get those mounted in. All right, once you have those both nuts started, you can cinch that up and slide it all the way to the forward position if you want to. Again, you can come back and make any adjustments if you need to. We're gonna tighten this down with our 16 mil socket. All right, once you get that tight, before you move on to the other side, you're gonna wanna get the top piece section in and get all your middle pieces tightened down. All right, now you can come in with your top piece. One thing to note, you wanna keep these rubber grommets pointed to the top of the guard for any future lighting accessories. Get your bolt threaded in. And you can tighten this down with a 16 mil socket. And once you have the top and the bottom piece in, you can repeat the same steps for the other side. All right, now we're gonna put on our upper support. It's gonna mount to the top like this in the upper 2 holes. It's kind of hard to see, but I'm gonna reach up underneath and start our bolts. Once you have one side started, you can move on to the other side so you can have some support. All right, once you have it lined up, I did have to put an extension on this, but we're still using a 16 mil socket. Once you have that nice and straight, you can come back and make any adjustments you need to. Now we're gonna mount this on the vehicle. All right, now we're gonna install our mounting brackets. We're gonna go through our bumper. It's kind of hard to see, but we're gonna get our rear bolt in first. And we're gonna tighten that down with our 17 mil. We're gonna leave it just a little bit loose. Then repeat the same steps for the other side. Now that we have both lower brackets on, I'm gonna use the assistance of a friend to raise the bumper guard onto the brackets and we can get a couple bolts started. You can let go there. All right, after you got some help lifting everything on and got a couple screws started, you can go ahead and keep installing the rest of your mounting bolts. We're gonna have 2 more down on the inside. You can get both the bolts through. Place your flat washer on the top and the bottom. And then we can come back in with our top and bottom nuts. And once you have those rest of bolts pulled in, you can repeat for the other side. All right, before we tighten up our brackets for the bumper guard, this has a lot of play in it, so we're gonna tighten up our bottom tow hook mounts first, and then get everything situated after that. All right, now we can tighten up our 17 mil bolts. Once we have that tightened, we can repeat the same steps for the other side. All right, now we're gonna tighten our bottom bolts with our 16 mil wrench and our 16 mil socket. We can lift a little bit support on here. All right, once you have that tightened, you can repeat for the other side and make any adjustments you need to. All right, that wraps up our install for a high runner front bumper guard in black on 24 to 26 Tacoma. Just remember, for everything Tacoma related, keep it right here at ExtremeTerrain.com.